Yo, hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing an Evelynn game again. I haven't made a video in a while because I've been under attack from the Matrix, but I mean, it is what it is, you know? So, in the new season, I mean, I sometimes pick Evelynn still. I kind of prefer to play ADC still, but I mostly win on Evelynn, and the thing with her right now is that you don't really want to pick her in every game, because a lot of games you will have team comps that can be really unplayable. So even this game, the enemy team comp is quite difficult to play into, but like if we replace the Pantheon with something that is even more unkillable, so say something that completely stonewalls you from killing as Evelynn. Like for example, Xante should almost never die to you. Or I don't know, like Tom Kent or something, I don't know. Or like Mordekaiser. Like maybe you'll kill them, but it's kind of unlikely you will end up killing them at some point into the game. Maybe if you kill them like before level 6, it's a bit more likely, but I mean, they're level 6, not yours. I mean, Xante, it's not that important, his level 6, but it's just the effort that it's going to take you to kill them compared to like the reward you get is going to be very minuscule. So then jungle, I mean, Ivern is fine enough. I don't know, this champ is a bit difficult to kill, and if you go for the kill, the problem is if you get CC'd by his Q, you get slowed by like red buff or something, by smite, and then you get like Daisy legit beats you 1v1 at that point, so pretty problematic. But here I still have Katarina I can kill, so the solo lanes are a pretty big target for me here. It's quite important at the moment with the way that the current drafting works in League, or well, the meta I suppose, that you figure out what the main targets are for you and you really play around those, because if you don't play around that, it's going to be very difficult. For example, I had another game where I played Evelynn and I played against like Polybear top and Nautilus support and Pantheon mid and Talia jungle, and it's just like, okay, well, Talia is a pretty good target, but I need to be level 6 and I need to like catch her, otherwise it's going to be a bit problematic because she can also one-shot me. Pantheon can be like an okay target, I guess, I suppose. But then in that game, for example, their Nautilus went like AP. For some reason, he went Night Harvester. And I'm just like, oh, well, that guy just became the best target, right? Because while he can't perma CC me, there are many ways for me to get on him, and his champion is not so mobile. So that's like another thing that can happen. Like sometimes the items or runes or whatever, or gameplay of a person will make them the target. Yeah. So here we just start the game by clearing a little bit, obviously, like not like you need to do too much. We can look at the lanes, but there isn't really too much to be said or too much that needs to be done. Really, we're just looking to clear the whole jungle. I can do like my vision only. Then I'm pretty sure Ivern is topside, so I just go for this play without really worrying about it. Do end up dying, but I mean, like whatever, I guess 2 for 1 is fine for me. My support died at some point, but I mean, happens. It's quite unfortunate though that Ezreal got both of the kills, especially since it's a tier start Ezreal player. If you start tier on Ezreal, I think you have like some issues, unless you play against something that's like completely impossible to fight. But for example, a Rel Ezreal against Xayah Blitzcrank lane, there's no way that you can't fight it at all. Like Ezreal's pretty good into Xayah because you outrange her, and she's not that good into poke, while you can play against Blitzcrank and you can E his hook and stuff like that, so pretty interesting. We go for a quick gank on this, and we're getting like an okay early game here. Getting a lead, I suppose, but enemy jungle does get double scuttle, so not that much of a lead. Kind of expected enemy jungle to either go top or to like be cheesing me here. But I was expecting this more, so in these situations you can just queue the bush and you can try to check it with that. I mean, sometimes you're gonna get unlucky and you're not gonna hit them, but I mean, as long as you hit either the edge of the bush that's closest to you or the middle of the bush, usually you're gonna end up hitting them. So in this scenario, I think I did it from like here and I did like this or something, in which case you end up hitting those spots where people like to stand. You do have to keep in mind though that Evelynn Q, I don't think it really has a sound indicator or anything. Actually, maybe, I don't play with sound, so maybe if you hit it, like it makes a sound, but usually you're gonna have to kind of be mindful of it and realize what the maximum range of the Q is, so that when it does hit, you notice it, right? It's not like it gives vision. I go for this, since enemy top laner, I mean enemy jungler is fighting my top laner. I go like, maybe I can help him, maybe I can get the kill, whatever. Some interesting stuff, I don't know, I'm like, whatever, man. So we have like an interesting little fight. Then I think this part of the fight is like 3-1, right? Like, to get the Pantheon, I'm like, okay, I guess. But then, I don't know, this disaster. I think Rel doesn't get her W in time, and then this guy CCs, and then they're like tanking everything for no reason, and Katarina just kills everything. So kind of disastrous for us. I think this fight should have been winning though. But I think that the way that it's played is not the best. Like, for example, here, we ignited very late. Then this guy uses his Q on the guy that's ignited. Like, we could have either ignited him earlier and he's already dead, or we could have just not ignited him and ignited someone else, right? So, multiple ways to play this, and then here, this guy is CC, but then there's no reason to really be standing in his melee and give him like a free dagger, right? I like Rel out attack this much, and didn't get the Q off, so. And then this guy also like focuses this guy, so just disaster gaming overall, but makes this example pretty good for us, since I went bot lane, I didn't get a kill, I went top lane, I think I also didn't get a kill, and I got 1 kill out of all of these ganks, and enemy gets ahead, so now we have to somehow deal with this disgusting team comp while behind is Evelynn, so. We are behind, so. Like, I'm down 300 gold in enemy jungler, even though he only has assists, so. Down 300 on this guy, down almost 1k on this guy, so. Yeah. Overall, pretty bad, sorry. At this point I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to like clear and try to get my level 6 as soon as possible. Here, the reason I walk up is because if you look at mid lane, it's like, oh, well, the wave is kind of like that. So I'm gonna clear my camp anyway, unless they start fighting, but obviously I'm gonna pull the camp closer here so I can move faster. But then like, okay, well, if something happens, if someone goes in, I'll just like fight it. This guy kills it on its own, and I'm like, okay, cool. Very cool, very cool. So we need the scuttle, because if we get the scuttle, then getting level 6 is really easy, because I can either run bot lane and get level 6 from a minion, or I can do big fights. Though if I really couldn't get the scuttle, I would give that, obviously. Here, my Rel goes in too early. I'm still trying to stealth here, and my Rel like goes in, so it's fine. It's a bit early, so it's a bit difficult to play. We do get the Blitzcrank, but we don't get the Xayah. But then we get like ganked by these two, so another disaster game. So, and that guy's like one-shotting because he's so fed, so. Looks like a very disastrous game, right? We're starting 2 and 3, we're very behind. I mean, our team is not so behind, I suppose, it's only 2k, but still. Though I am even with enemy jungler, so that is something we have at least, I suppose, but his value as a champion is much higher, and he has Moonstone done. Kill somehow kills the Katarina, probably because Katarina was using stuff in bot lane, and Kiana had everything when she came to lane, so. Yeah. Quick Herald, since our mid laner was alive and enemy mid laner was dead. Into a, I mean, free gank in top, like you can just look for stuff. And then, usually you don't want to Herald top lane, right? But in this scenario, this kind of a scenario, you can Herald top. Mostly because your top laner is a tank and supportive champ anyway, so I don't really care, right? Mostly I just want to get gold on me, and it's not very guaranteed that I'm going to get a Herald off in mid or bot, because enemy bot lane is stronger and enemy mid laner is stronger as well, right? Like if we look, enemy Katarina is still up 600 gold at this point. And has some Dark Seal stacks, while this guy has gold invested into an item that doesn't give him anything, right? So, I mean, with this we can just deduct like 400 gold, and we can add a bit more gold per this. So in reality, Katarina is stronger by like 1k gold or something. Very easily, right? So we collect a few plates, and we get a decent amount of gold. If you look, the gold is even equalized now at this point, because I'm up 1k gold on the enemy jungler. we're getting a bit PDF. This guy's a bit mad. People do get very mad against Evelynn. Like, if you don't die to people, they will get very mad and they'll just chase you. This happens in every elo, by the way. And it's not really about, like, it's not even about, like, your account, your win rate, or anything. Like, it happens to me no matter what account I play on, no matter what elo I play on. Like, people see Evelynn and they get, like, mad. I don't know. So we lost bot lane tower, which really sucks for us. I did get 2 kills, but it still sucks for us because the map is going to kind of close off for me and open up for the enemy. Because now, when they move their bot lane to mid lane, it's going to be much harder for me to really do much, right? Though currently, for some reason, Katarina's mid lane, and then their bot lane is still in bot lane. At this point, I'm like thinking, okay, well, that's like very good for me. Very, very good. That their bot lane doesn't move into mid, because now I can just fight the enemy mid laner, and it can be like, okay. So Vrelda's some good CCing there. Very good champ. We bait this, and the way you want to play these fights is, the issue here is, if you get CC'd by one person, you're going to get CC'd by the other person, and then at some point you can just die, especially without ult. So you need to wait for your teammate to do something, or like bait your teammate or something, and then you need to go in. It sounds really disgusting, but it's just the way you have to play because you're an assassin. So in these situations, I recommend you like stand in bushes or something, wait a bit, and then like here, like my Poppy just eats that guy, she eats all of the CC, and I'm like, okay, I'll just Q him a few times. Then that guy doesn't have the damage to kill Poppy, and I just get a free kill without any risk. Very nice for me. I go in for a bit of damage, and I just decide, okay, we're gonna kill one of these, the one that Brel CCs. So we kill that. And then at this point, many of you might get baited and think like, ah, well, my teammate wants to go in. Like, I'm even duo Q with Rel. And you're like, okay, my teammate wants to go in. And I'm like, no, don't. Like, you need to make your own decisions. Like, you need to really break that habit of following your teammates, because you follow your teammates and this happens. Whatever this is. And you do what? You Q and E the enemy and then you die? What's the plan there? Just death. Just don't die, chill. I have a lot of gold as well that I want to spend, so I just buy instant Magi, buy like AP components. I already bought Blasting and Amptom on my first basis, so couldn't really buy more needlessly large rods. That's okay. We have a ton of AP right now. Even though I didn't finish an item, right, I still have 332 AP. So I'm quite happy with my damage right now. If I finish Rocket Belt for comparison, I would have 140 AP from this, and I would have, I don't know, I think it's 90 from Rocket Belt, that's like 210, and like some from the Absolute Gathering, so maybe like 250 or something, I don't know. Eyeball, I don't know, like 250 probably, something like that. Somewhere in that range. So I do have a bit more AP than I would. I do have a bit less pen. I don't have the dash. But I'm really looking for that Graviton second, because I think that with the way this game is going and how fed I'm getting, I can get it. And if you go Graviton second, you're basically like 550 AP at minute 15 if you get it early. And that's a bit wild. So, I mean, I really like that build. Technically, the Rabadon's second with Magi, but what you do have to keep in mind is you need to be very fed so that you can actually get the bases off, because getting 1250 bases off or more is a bit difficult, right? It's a bit easier in jungle compared to lanes, but still quite difficult. So at this point, we're just looking for 3 picks. I have my ult, so I just try to use my ult. And then, okay, we got our ult off, so why do I need to do anything else? I have Rabadons in base. Look at my AP, it goes from 330 to 558, and having 558 AP at 15 minutes is pretty wild. I mean, obviously I do have 25 stacks on Magi, but at the same time, it is pretty wild. So now all we really want to do is get 11. That's our main priority. We don't care about anything else, just get level 11. So whatever you do, it's just towards that. The nice thing about taking Herald, though, is that then you're denying it from enemy. I don't even care about spawning the Herald sometimes, but it's just about I don't want to lose like 3 towers instantly to the enemy because of Herald. Because for example, as ADC, you can, if you have the Herald as ADC, it's like really disgusting. If you play, I don't know, Ezreal, Tristana, Ziggs, something, I don't know. You walk into mid when the enemy is starting a dragon fight. If you can't win the dragon fight, or you don't think you can, or it's difficult to play or something, you spawn the Herald, like here for example, right? If everyone was grouped on dragon, you walk mid, you spawn the Herald, this tower is gone. If they don't respond instantly, this tower is gone. If they try to actually fight the dragon and then take the dragon, this tower is gone. And suddenly you open the inhib at like minute 18, and then the enemy can't play because they have no inhib mid. Suddenly you're pushing top and bot. You somehow get them into their base, they're just stuck in their base. Then you do Baron at 20 minutes, and then you just push down one inhib, push down second inhib, GG, game is over. So, can be very strong. In low relos especially, because people don't have the best macro. I think those things work until like High Master. Then that's a bit more obvious that you're gonna take their whole base. Even in like Diamond Master, I've seen it work where, and I've done it myself, where just walk into a lane and just take the whole enemy base from a Herald. So at this point, just keep fighting while having ult. Fight, fight, fight. Ult is up. Chill. Don't play too fast. Just fight. If your team is doing some random shit, don't follow them. Like, you need to make your own calls, like here again, right? Like, my team wants to do something. Well, let's look at Brawl, right? For example. Because it's an engaged champ. So, this guy gets hooked. This guy wants to help him. That guy is trying to escape that way. This guy is trying to CC it. I don't care about any of this. Like, if they die, like, what do I really lose out? I mean, this guy gives a shutdown. I mean, happens. But why should I fight that? I don't really see it. And risk dying. For no reason. Blitzcrank can, I don't know, flash on me and E me. Maybe he still had enough mana for hook before he used his W. This guy can just Q me. It can be complete disaster instantly, very fast. So that was a grief flash at the end to kill Blitzcrank. Kinda. These flashes are not the best when you just flash for a kill, but the reason this flash is okay-ish is mostly because killing Blitzcrank means that their mid, top, and support are dead. When all 3 are dead, it means that I can very easily take all of his jungle. So here, technically what should happen is my laners should take one half of his jungle, which is probably this one, so at least take his Raptors or something. Like Ezreal should take this mid wave and then take his Raptors or something if he can. Pantheon does ult mid, which is interesting. Decent by him, I suppose. Kind of saves this jungle for him. For the Ivern, I mean. But either way, I get at least one quadrant. So, then, okay. What are we up to now? So at this point, you need to consider, if you're playing a build like this, where you have Rabadons and Magi, at this point you consider, do I go Void Staff or do I go Rocket Belt? That's basically the main choice here. I suppose you could also go something like Blitzbane, but I'm not sure how it is on the damage numbers. I don't really know. Should test that, I suppose, but I'm pretty sure Rocket Belt is just going to be better, especially because you can Rocket Belt in, I don't know, E or something and then ult, and that's going to be a lot more damage. But if you're just comboing like over and over with like QE and farming kills or something, then Blitzbane's probably a really good option here, though I wouldn't recommend it. If you do want to go Blitzbane, I think I would go it after this item, aka after Rocket Belt. A common thing to do here though is to go Void Staff before you go Rocket Belt, mostly because people end up having MR at this point. The thing I also really like about this build is that I'm not forced to go to 5 items versus MR, because it feels really, really bad if you have Rocket Belt and Magi, and stacked Magi, to then go Void Staff right after that before Rabadons. It just feels horrible, but you're forced to do it because of high MR stacks, I suppose. But with this, I don't really care so much. Though, as I did say, this build only really works if you get a lot of gold or get like feather or whatever, because you do need to get those big bases off, and getting 1250 base every time, like on your first item, is pretty interesting. Difficult. So, at this point, my priority is that I want to get to my next item, which is probably going to be Banshee, and I want to get 16. I don't really see how I can ever lose the game on that. I would like to get one dragon right now, mostly because I don't want them to go to soul point. But I see that my team is like kind of having a little bit of control over it, so I'm like, okay, I'll run to it like soon, TM. In higher elo, I would instantly run to dragon. I wouldn't like play my whole blue side, but in this case, I didn't really care so much. It's like, I don't know, flat or something. So why do I do this like this, though? You might be confused by this. So, the reason is, so when this guy is at this distance, right, I'll just try to combo him. I have to keep in mind that Blitzcrank is going to have hook, right? This guy's gonna have Q, so pretty interesting. Trying to E him is already going to be pretty difficult, mostly because if I E, I'm forced to dash into him, which means I'm on a forced trajectory where I'm stuck in the animation. So I'm going to get Q'd by this guy, hooked by this guy, and just die. So I don't really want to E, right? I would like to use 2 Qs, but then I'm in a pretty short range scenario where I could still get hit by the skill shot, right? So in these scenarios, I quite like to just do, I don't know, a Q, maybe one more Q if I get it off after Rocket Belt, and just ult. And maybe smite. Maybe. In this case, I didn't smite. I think if I realized how much he is shielding, I would probably just smite it so I get electrocuted before my ult, and then maybe I would kill. Or try to get one more Q off. But honestly, I don't even care so much about killing him, especially because he still has flash. So the main purpose here is to chunk him. Because if I chunk both of these guys, it's kind of just like, oh, well, how did I get the dragon now? We know that this guy doesn't have ult because he used it already, like before. And he's in top lane with no TP, no ult, so it's already a 4-man an enemy. And then when I chunk this guy like this, it's basically like an enemy has 3 champions. And we have 4 champions around here. So that's pretty crazy. And Rel should be able to arrive at least at the same time as Pantheon. For some reason my Poppy did recall, but the enemy just runs away and they're done with this play. Kinda. For a bit. Then they try to contest again, but as I said, this doesn't really work. Like Blitzcrank is now for some reason mid, because he's 1 HP. This guy was also low HP, so he couldn't really play the game, though he did heal in jungle camps. I think jungle camps heal way too much at some points into the game. Actually, no, he healed on red buff here. Interesting. What is this healing, man? Wow. Healed from red buff, I suppose I should say. Yeah. Pretty fight at that point, mostly because enemy can't play. Like, if you're fed on Evelynn and anyone is lower than full HP, it's kind of difficult for him to play. Even on full HP, it's pretty difficult for him to play. So, at this point, we look for our next item. That's like the best thing we can get right now. Slowly working towards level 16. And we'll get there eventually, I suppose. We have a lot of AP though. Like, if you look at this. 650. Pretty wild. So, we're trying to get a bit more gold. Don't be afraid to take sideways as well as Evelynn. Like, there's really no reason why you can't do it. In this scenario, I am looking for a pick on the enemy in their jungle and their jungle camps. Mostly because I'm pretty sure these are likely to be up. I'm not sure why exactly, because I don't remember what the info was that I played off. But, yeah, I mean, we can go back and check, I suppose. Okay, so the info is that this was respawning. Ivern is already dead. And since Ivern just respawned, right, if we're like tracking him through Fog of War, he's like going like this. And yeah. When you track him like mentally through Fog of War, you realize he can only really be on one of these camps, right? unless you like miss the timing. Huh? But I mean, it can happen. No reason not to look for it because of that though. Yeah. Then we get a wave as well. If there was no play here, or if the Ivern wasn't here or something, I would just take like a wave or two here and try to get my item that way. But in this scenario, I got my item anyway. So as I said, we are going for Banshee. Why are we going for Banshee? Blitzcrank can just ult AoE, like sit on Zaya and just ult, or sit on Katarina and just ult when I try to go in. This guy can insta-Q me, this guy can flash W me, and just don't see a reason why I would let them have point-and-click CC on me, which will just 100 to 0 me when I have enough damage anyway. Like, what am I really gonna buy here? I don't need Void Staff for Pen, and Lich Bane is just kind of like for fun. I mean, I'll clear a bit past you and I'll one-shot enemy a bit more, but like, what? I'm one-shotting Blitzcrank without using ult or Charm. Like, I don't really think it's an issue. Right. So at this point, you might think, well, now I need to do something. But no, just chill. Like, a lot of people get baited in these scenarios into thinking, but we're so fed now. We need to end the game right now. Why do I need to end the game right now? For what? Why? Why do I need to do that? Oh, guys, they're gonna come back. We're gonna throw, guys. Like, shut up. Just take a few camps. Play for level 16. Like, look at this. If I just farm for a little bit, like farm for like a minute or two, I will be level 16. And my ult will go from doing 600 in power damage to going 900 in power damage and 15 seconds less cooldown. And you might think, oh, only 300 damage. Bro, 300 damage. Yeah. And 125 on base. That is pretty wild. That means that I will do 1k damage in my ult like, without even them being in execute range. And I'll do like, I don't know, 2.5k on the execute ult. Huge for Barons, huge for team fights, huge for everything. Kiana can ult and I can just insta-kill everyone in the enemy team. Also, I'm slowly getting to my 6th item as well while doing this. And you're taking everything anyway. Like, you take your camps, you take enemy camps, you kill the enemy. There's not like enemies just playing for free. You still do some stuff, you just don't need to force end right now. No one is forcing you to end. This is also one of the biggest things on Evelynn, by far. It's that people really lack patience on this champ. So your laners die when you're clearing, you get really impatient and you start like refighting or something. I don't know, like you think you need to end the game right now because you're like so fed and like the enemy is scaling, and then you just like grief fight and die. I don't know, you get like tilted because like something is happening, I don't know what. You lose like a jungle camp and you think the game is over. I don't know, you fall a bit behind and you're like, I'm useless now, I'm not a champion. You die once with Medja and Shutdown and you're like, not a champion anymore. Some of the biggest issues there. Look for a free pick. This, I wouldn't even go for the kill itself. I'm mostly just going in to burn her ult. But because of the way she plays it, I can just kill her as well. Because she decides to play it like this. I can try to ult it like this. But I didn't even need to, I could just kill her anyway. But this guy has a spell, so I'm like, I won't really risk it, there's no reason to. If Katarina jumps on me, then I will lose a lot of HP. Though I will get the ult damage on her, so she will lose a lot of HP as well. But I just don't see a reason why I would do that. Not even sure what killed her, really. Oh, my Q. Okay. Yeah, well, there's just no reason to fight this guy. Like, I can do a bit of damage here, but why? That's why. Then I try to get this guy. He reacts to it and ease away. Good on him. Okay. Then just some fight breaks out and whatever. I really don't care about this fight. I will just backline. This is another thing that I talked about a lot on Evelynn. Like, you don't have to always frontline, you don't have to flank, you don't have to whatever. You can just backline, especially if you don't have ult. Just backline, heal, one-shot the person that's like the closest if someone goes in. This is why it's like pretty chill to play against melee champs as well as Evelynn, because they go in. I mean, they can stat check you, that is the main issue, right? Like, they put dead stand small and they stat check you. sorry, I had to do something. Okay, so you get stat checked by this stuff, right? And that's a bit of a disaster, but as long as they don't get really fed, you just don't let them play. Because you put charm on them, they can't go in. They go in, they get one shot. Even without charm, they get one shot a lot of the time. But not just clear, right? We're just working towards our last item. I think we need 3k gold if we want Lich Bane, we need 2.8k if we want Void Staff, but if we look at the enemy MR, right, which is how we decide if we want to go one item or the other. So, Katarina, 59 MR. My pen currently, we have 6 plus 15, right, so 21, plus 18, so 39, plus, I don't know, like 6 or 8 or whatever the fuck we get from Sudden Impact when we proc it. Let's just say 45 when we proc Sudden Impact, whatever. Okay, then I'm gonna get another mythic, and it's gonna be 50. Do I really want to buy Void Staff for that last 9 pen? This guy, I don't... Like, for this guy's magic resist, really? Nothing? Just... Even if my numbers are off with what I just counted, like, why? It just sounds pointless to me. Really. I don't really see why I would care about that, right? When instead of that, I can get an item that gives me 500 damage on my E. So, I'll prefer that in this scenario. Only because enemy has 0 MR though. If enemy actually bought MR, like if they bought just Merc Treads or something on every champ, I would buy Void Staff instead. So, then all you really do now is just play consistent. So, you can flank a little bit, but just don't go in too much, right? Like, I don't want to flank from here. Why? Well, what if they place a pink ward and they just start chasing me and then they all in my team? Like, if they place a pink ward or something here when I'm here. Not that likely to happen in this exact scenario, but okay, let's say that this tower is gone, right? And you're flanking from here, which is what a lot of Evelynn players do like to do. You would go like this, and you would end up in a situation where the enemy support places the pink behind them. They will go in, your team might start to fight them for whatever reason, which is really pointless. And you're just gonna be like, oh, well, I need to walk all the way around now, right? And that's just horrible. It happens even more when they're like, if this team was pushing into this base, right? If this was our base and this was the enemy team. So you would flank from here. The enemy places a pink ward like here somewhere, right? And suddenly you can't even walk like this. You have to walk all the way from here, like this, to get back into the fight. And this can often be pinked. And then if both of these are pinked, you're just forced to walk through a pink, basically. Or you're forced to base, I don't know. And like this route is fucking disaster. Like, what is this? Complete disaster. So, and if this is pinked and this is pinked and they didn't see you, they kind of assume that you're either here or in the base. So, really disastrous. Yeah. Since you have Banshee, you can just go in instead. The moment when they proc Banshee and they start like trying to CC you, that's when you want to ult. And until then, you have time to just do whatever you want. I could even go for more here, though you do have to be careful because 2 spells can hit you at the same time, so it's not like you can always react to the Banshee. At the start of the fight, at the start of your opening, you can react, so if they instantly pop the Banshee, I will pop my ult way faster, right? Like if we look at this, right? If they already popped my Banshee, like this guy just insta-ulted or something, and popped my Banshee, or whatever happened, right? Then I would just say, okay, I'm going to just Rocket Belt and E. I mean, Rocket Belt and ult. But in this case, they didn't proc my Banshee yet. This guy's just running away. This guy ulted for whatever reason. This guy didn't smite my Banshee. I'm like, okay, maybe I can E as well. So in this scenario, I use like a few more spells. Okay. Tank everyone, think like, okay, maybe my team can go in now. They can't really go in. Okay, sure, I suppose. That's fine. We got a pick, we made the enemy team really low HP, and now we just zone the enemy from defending their towers, right? If they're like all stacked like this, we just look for a pick or whatever, but just play backline. There's no need to try to kill this guy. You might think, but that guy's 1 HP, but you're 1k shutdown and he's nothing. So you're trading 1k gold for 300 potentially. That's the efficiency of that play. And then you think, okay, well, how many times out of 100 am I gonna Am I gonna kill him here? Not that many. And how many times am I gonna die? I mean, even if I die like 10 times out of 100, it's still like not really worth it. If I kill him 10 times, I mean, I need to kill him at least like 30, 40 times out of 100 if I want to die 10 times out of 100 in this scenario and have it be like somewhat acceptable. But there's also the XP value because I'm level 17 and everyone in this team is like level 13. So in reality, I need him to die like at least half the time or 60 out of 100 times, while I can only die like 10% of the time. And I would not say that this is a play where I will die 10% of the time, and I would also not say this is a play where I will kill him more than half the time. So, just not worth it, right? If you think of it that way. That's like a pretty good way to evaluate plays. So, you can think of it in terms of how much am I getting from this play, and what are the odds that this play succeeds. So if a play is 30% chance to work, and I'm getting 1,000 gold, I'm getting 300 gold. Right? Pretty self-explanatory. Though you do have to keep in mind that in some games, gold can be more important or less important. So if I already have 6 items and I'm full build and everything, like I don't really care if I get 1,000 gold. I want the objective, I want the base, I want, I don't know, whatever. I don't care about gold, right? Same way if my team is just really ahead, but I'm not 6 items, I don't care so much about gold. Well, if my team is like really behind and I need to solo carry, maybe I'll care about the gold more. But nothing to really say here, just look for random picks. We're really just playing for the base, I suppose I should say. So I'm just waiting for my teammates to get back on the map, right? Because you don't really want to play when your teammates are off the map. So all I really look for at this point is picks. I can do some other stuff. Like, I don't know, I can go to base and buy an elixir, I suppose. But I don't really value it so much, especially since I still have Baron. And the AP I'm going to lose by losing the Baron buff is going to end up being pretty much the same as the AP I'm gaining from the elixir. So it's kind of whatever. I could farm like some jungle camps or some side lanes or something, but I don't care about that either so much because first of all, I can only gain 1 more level, which will give me 20 damage in the spell. Don't care. I mean, I'll get a bit of base stats as well, I suppose, but meh. And I can't even get an item, so just don't care about those things, right? The most valuable thing right now is a pick, and that's why I'll go for that. So try to get a pick or 2, and then very simply try to take this inhib, try to take like this inhib or something, then try to end the game. If you take like 2 inhibs, you can also try to end the game. So we got some picks. So now we get this inhib. This guy does like whatever this guy does. And at this point we're like, okay, well, they're respawning, so let's fuck off, I guess. Pick up the camps, chill. And now we will play for the same thing. Just, I want the inhibs. We kill the whatever. Who cares? Let's try to get your ult off. Like, that's all you really care about. Then it's time to try to kill their base. If I can get any more picks, it's like nice. But after that, really prioritize this inhib. Hit that. Hit this wave. My team hits this inhib, so I hit this wave. We make 2 waves crash, and then we can suddenly hit the tower. And you can see that in most of these fights, I'm actually just playing backline because there is no reason for me to go into flanking or something, because flanking and stuff is more risky compared to this. Like, what is my risk when I play off Rel and Poppy going in and just CCing the enemy? The enemy is stunned for the full duration of the fight. I press Q, I press E, and I just collect a kill. Why would I walk around, try to go from invis and one-shot the enemy? For what? Why? If you have setup champs in your team, then use that. If you don't have setup champs, I don't know, say that I had like brand support who's just perma-dead, and I had like, I don't know, Quintop lane that's just like invade splitting, I don't know. Okay, in that scenario, I will maybe have to play a bit more off myself. Though what I can do in those scenarios is I can wait for the enemy to go in on my character. Like in this case, I'm waiting for my teammates to go in and do stuff. But in that scenario, I can wait until the Sacred Arena jumps on the Quinn. Katarina jumps on Quinn, and I get a free kill. It's also a way to play it. Deserve to die here because I flashed in for fun. Complete for fun player. I flashed in on Ivern, I don't know why, for fun. So should have died to Katarina here. But yeah, let me just end the game. I knew the game would end here anyway, so I didn't care so much. But then somehow we turned the game around. And it's not like we had to take any insane risks. It's not like we had to make some massive crazy outplay or, I don't know, like dodge every spell in a fight or some bullshit like that. We literally just used what we had in our team and then we won. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, learned something or whatever else, then like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.